agreeing on the song to play, guys. That was
Yeah, that's really great.
Why talk about it off stage when you can F around on stage? That's my motto.
I got used to Matt being here. He was here last time.
I know, so you were going to do three's magic number.
With Magic.
It's like this morning it was Michael all over the map. Today, now this afternoon, you're all over the map. You don't even know we have a map.
No, it's right.
Anyway, there we go. Thanks, fellas.
At least we're consistent, right?
Yeah, exactly. Consistently consistent. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the panel that makes not a lot of sense since Rob and I are on stage all day, but you know what, Rob?
Yeah.
This is our time. You know what I mean? Like when we were on stage earlier, we're facilitating others.
Well,
no more.
Also, you know, you and I host a couple of podcasts.
We do.
And one of them is called, thank you. And one of them is called the Kings of Con podcast.
It sure is, Robert.
And so you might say this is sort of a live Kings of Con podcast.
In many ways it is, except for the fact that it won't be podcasted.
No.
Other than that, it's exactly like a podcast.
Exactly like it.
If you... Well, I don't know, you know another reason why this is not like a podcast?
Why?
They can't listen to us while driving. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of people, they pop us in while they're driving.
Right, don't drive.
They clean house and listen to us right now. They have to sit here and pay attention.
Yeah, they have to look at us.
Yeah.
Look at our stupid faces.
That's going to bring it down, okay? It really ruins it when you see them, I see the review. Face for radio, those two. So, the podcast, by the way, we just have a new version of the new episode of the podcast that dropped yesterday. So if you don't listen to Kings of Con, the podcast, do yourself a favor and listen to Kings of Con, the podcast. If you feel like we're talking about Kings of Con, the podcast, an awful lot, we are. It's the only thing we can legally talk about.
Yeah, we're not striking. We're not striking
ourselves, Kings of Con, the podcast. It's also free.
It's also free. It's all free and no ads even.
No ads. No advertisers want to support us.
No. So you listen to it ad-free.
You don't have to pay extra for the ad-free part. We went ahead and did that by sucking.
That's not Richard.
Well, not quality brands want to sponsor us.
Well, what we've done is we've written jingles for brands that we would like to sponsor, and we play those jingles.
I know, but typically that flies in the face of good marketing if we're giving it away for free.
Oh no, we're horrible business.
It's like you on the dance floor. You know what I mean? You're just giving it away for free. All these people go raw, like they feel bad for Rob.
Well, I feel bad for me.
I basically just called Rob a free stripper.
No, you run over me with the bus, and then you put it in rewind.
Say that in rewind. Reverse. You know, you can say that, but I also feel like in many ways I was complimenting your seductive style of dancing.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, we're here. We'll answer your questions, but also, more importantly, Kings of Con, the podcast. All right. Let's take a question. Let's go. Let's start right there.
Okay, so my question is for both of you. I was wondering, in terms of your songwriting, when you're writing, do you typically write song lyrics and music separate or together? And if separate, which ones come first for you?
Richard?
Rob, I'll answer first, and I have a much shorter history with songwriting. Something I haven't dabbled in until recently, but in my limited experience writing songs, I have come up with. I wrote a song with Billy last year or 2 years ago, and we made ourselves laugh with the lyrics, and then Billy really helped with the music. So that was lyrics first. Every other thing has been. I find something that I'm playing, and I'm like, ooh, that's kind of hooky. That's kind of neat sounding, and then I write lyrics to the music. So my limited experience has been music first, lyrics second. Rob.
Richard. Thank you. Yeah, for me, it's the same. I'll be playing something that I like that sounds kind of hooky, and then I'm kind of like humming along with it. And maybe I'll hear like a lyric that may not make sense at first, but then it's just like it'll stick with me. And it's like Butterfly Sunday. I don't know why I just said Butterfly Sunday, but what is that? That sounds interesting. So then I kind of see if I can make, maybe it'll, or maybe something more simple than that, like, blah, 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 why did you leave me, or whatever, right? And then I'll, kind of write a song about that, and usually I'll funnel emotions into it that I'm feeling at the time, or that I'll remember something I felt at another time. And then occasionally I'll write a song that has nothing to do with me at all. It's sort of a fictional character, but yeah, it'll be the music first, and then lyrics will follow.
Here's a question for you. So I know that, like, just being a music buff and listening to, watching documentaries and biographies of bands, I remember the Eagles talking about Life in the Fast Lane. It was two things. It was a warm-up riff that Joe Walsh would play, and also somebody had been, they were in a car with a buddy who wasn't a songwriter. They were zipping along in a convertible talking about crazy Los Angeles life, whatever. And so the guy's like, Life in the Fast Lane. And they're like, ooh, cool, like, lyric, cool riff. Oh, we'll marry those two things. Like, have you ever had an independent moment of, like, this line of song or this title? I don't have any music for it yet.
I have notes I write down all the time, like cool little phrases or words that I think would make good sense in a song. Or I do that a lot, and occasionally I'll write a song that doesn't go anywhere, but there'll be a piece of lyric I like, and then I'll lift that and put it in another song that is going somewhere.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's funny, I just recently found some old demos I made, and they're songs that never went anywhere, but there are a couple lines that I'm like, oh, that's actually in this other song, Silver Spoon, that I lifted from that, put it in that.
That's cool.
So yeah.
It's like a rough draft in a way.
It is a rough draft, yeah, for sure.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also say that Rob and I, well, me, but I keep the list, but it sort of applies to you and the band. We keep a rolling list of band names that
will never form.
They're never formed, but just in case we need an emergency band name, I've got the list. One was added today in our meet and greet. It was the Beat Salad Speed Bumps.
Beat Salad Speed Bumps.
Yeah.
Rich Payton, the Beat Salad Speed Bumps.
It's not one of those. But a lot of mine are Phil Dill and the Pickles.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we start the Beat Salad, the Beat Salad Speed Bumps, we're going for more esoteric.
You're right. Okay. Yeah. It's more of a...
There's no front man. Any of us can say
it's like prog rock.
Yes, exactly. All right, you over here.
Hello, my name is Hope. Over the summer, I was a camp counselor at a local Girl Scout camp.
Nice.
And we had to use wacky names the entire summer. So, my question to you is, what would your wacky or silly camp counselor name be?
What was your name?
Mine was Oreo, and hers was Sunny.
Oreo and Sunny.
Was there any rules on what name you could pick?
It had to be kid appropriate.
Right.
That's it, though. That was the only rule?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Kid appropriate, Rob. That kind of just eliminated a bunch of your choices, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure did. It's funny, my daughter went to a camp like that one time, and afterwards she was like, and this is my counselor, Coffee. And I was like, oh, hi, Coffee, nice to meet you. And only a few weeks later did I hear that all the counselors didn't go by the real name, but they went by their favorite drink.
Yeah.
So
when you live in Los Angeles long enough, meeting somebody named Coffee doesn't necessarily mean it's a nickname.
No. That being said...
Now, Rob and I, just to be clear, we have pseudonyms that we've used before publicly for professional reasons. Rob and I used to host live from the floor of Comic-Con for years and years and years. And one of the years we decided, because we were seeing all these people cosplay these fabulous heroes and villains from various comics and movies, we're like, we've got to get in on this, right?
Well, we were hosting specifically for gamers.
Right, for GameSpot.
And his wife worked for this company called GameSpot, and we were doing this live from the floor of Comic-Con. And it was mostly going out to these gamers, really professional gamers, and they all had these cool game.
Yeah, we were working with two people like
Sister Violence and
Thunderclap and Sister Violence.
Exactly, right. So they're like, well, we need a name like that. So we said to the audience of our listeners that we couldn't see, but we're like, hey, can you put in the chat what you think our name should be, like, Mr. Motorcycle Head or whatever.
Right. We got a lot of hate suggestions from that. That didn't go necessarily well. We did have one that was our favorite that was suggested. Somebody said, I got names for you guys. Go and Away.
It really had a nice ring to it.
We liked that one. We didn't go with those, though. We decided to move on. We ended up going with them. I don't know if they're not necessarily inappropriate, but it's probably not camp friendly. but we went by Danger Bottom and Codpiece.
Oh, that one. Yeah. You're going there, yeah. Yeah, Danger Bottom and Codpiece. But I don't think we could do that in Girl Scout.
Codpiece with a K.
With a K. Codpiece with a K, that was me. However, to answer your question, I'm gonna go with, oh man, I had it, I lost it.
Codpiece.
No. What's the game you play when you go?
Hopscotch.
Hopscotch. I'm gonna go with hopscotch.
Okay, you go hopscotch, I'm gonna go tetherball.
Awesome, thank you.
Hopscotch and tetherball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
Yeah, me too. Alright, thank you, Hope, or Oreo. Appreciate it. Good job. Yo.
Hi. My name's Sarah, and my question is, based off of personalities that you might have, that we have perceived you guys by, you get what I'm saying? Personalities.
Characters we might have played.
Something like that?
Sure.
You may have possibly been perceived as like a dick in the past.
Yeah.
Or maybe a tricky person.
Sure.
Or things like that.
Dick, tricky person, got it.
What's one of the most common misconceptions that you guys run into in places like this? Like people expect you to be a certain way. What's it called?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, me too.
I got one I can say.
Okay.
I get gifted a lot of candy. I don't really like candy.
You don't like candy?
I'm not a sweets guy. And especially early on, I would get bags and bags of candy.
I feel like because of the porn stash guy, because of the porn thing.
The porn you watch?
No, because of the when you were in the TV show as the porn guy.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about. He's wanting me to say it.
Yep.
And I feel like you get a lot of sexy stuff.
I don't though.
You used to.
No, I've gotten a lot of because I say a certain line to a performer in an episode about a giant satchel of something.
Of penises?
Yeah. And I've received a lot of bags of that.
Wow.
Could be candy versions, could be just yarn versions. Somebody did it up at home.
But this is what I'm thankful that I just played God. That it didn't have to do with that.
Yeah, you don't get anything filthy.
Obviously people just mad at me. People really angry. So it's not like they think I'm gonna be a dick in real life, but they don't care. They're just mad at me. And they let me know that in many different ways. From telling me straight out, I'm mad at you, to can we take a picture where I'm hitting you with something?
Yeah.
Things like that, yeah. So, it's just more that they're mad at me. But I really would like to think that they don't think that I'm a mean person in real life.
But we'll never know.
But we'll never know. Never know. But, that's the biggest misconception, I guess, is that I don't control space and time. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not an omniscient creature.
That's disappointing to people when they realize you don't have that kind of control.
Yeah.
It's disappointing to you when you realize you don't have that kind of control.
It is. Totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your question.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. If it makes you feel better, I associate you with a server.
Hey, I like that. Thank you.
That's a what?
A server. A person who waits tables.
A show from a movie you did.
Movie did about people who wait tables.
Exactly. Yo.
Hi.
You're Sunny.
I am Sunny.
All right, Sunny.
I'm also Claire. And I'm looking to start a career in directing. So I was wondering if you could tell me what a realistic journey to beginning that career looks like.
A realistic career to pursue a career in directing.
Yeah.
A realistic path. For starters, love what you do, love what it is, study, read, watch. I mean, obviously if you're wanting to be a director, you love media, you love film, you love TV. Soak up as much of that as you can. It's like going to a museum if you're a painter. You learn from the greats and you learn from stuff you don't love. In many ways, the act of directing or anything in the film business, especially the not the acting side, the behind the camera side, is artistic, but it's also a trade. Meaning you can study it, but you also really need to do it to learn it. You can stand next to the water and have somebody describe swimming to you for a long time, but until you get wet, you really don't know what it is. And I feel like directing is kind of like that. But I think a logical path to it is to, most people who go into directing come through a door. That door could be, in my case, it's acting. For some people, it's being a script supervisor. For some, it's being an editor. For some, it's being an assistant director. which is not being an assistant to a director. An assistant director is a whole different job that's about scheduling, and it's both business and creative. Anyway, there are people who've been, Oscar-winning makeup artists who've then gone into it, visual effects artists who've gone into it. I think
Stunt people,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's myriad pathways, and all of them are justifiable. But what makes them all work is those people were in their lane, studying their craft while paying attention to everybody else's. It's how they got on set. It's how they got their experience. So the two things I would recommend are direct as much as you can. And you can do that because in your pocket or your handbag somewhere you have a device that's more powerful than anything we had access to in film school, because phones are incredibly powerful tools. And you probably have editing software that comes on them for free, and if not, it'll cost you $4. So do as much directing as you can. It doesn't mean it has to be scripted with people walking around. It doesn't have to be something you're going to show to people. Could just be find your favorite song and make a music video to it. Find ways to do interesting things with the camera. Find your friends who write screenplays if you don't, and shoot little 2-minute, bits. And again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to release them. It can just be for you for the exercise. But also, do your best to get yourself on a set. Low man in the totem pole. Become a PA. Become a PA in a post-production house, in a production house, on set. Someplace where people are where you want to be. Be around the people who are doing what you want. One of the reasons why I didn't stay in the restaurant business very long when I was a starving artist is I didn't want to be in the restaurant business. I took paid nothing jobs, and actually some of them literally paid nothing. I would work my restaurant gig and then go work for free as a PA on a set. Go be that person so you can be around the people who are doing it, so you can start to understand it. And watch what they do, emulate what they do, and emulate what they don't do, or erase what you don't want to, what you don't admire, don't want to replicate in their process. I know that's a convoluted answer, but it really is a matter of put yourself in the path of the people who are doing what you want to do. And everybody who wants to pursue it thinks it's impossible. But the fact that I'm standing here with a microphone in my hand is living proof that it's possible. Because I am not from the entertainment business. I am not born into it. My parents don't do it. I come at it cold like everybody else. So if it matters enough to you, and it is your driving passion, then, and it doesn't have to be in Los Angeles, California, by the way. They are making stuff everywhere. Find out where they're making stuff in your town, where they're doing theater and you want to be an actor, where they're shooting little commercials for production companies, wherever, and get in with those people and stay in and be tenacious. Because the squeaky wheel will get the grease, and then stay and learn and add that to your repertoire while you're directing. And, somebody asked me about this yesterday. I'm like, be the best of whatever you're going to be so that you can earn the trust to be the captain of the ship. Be an editor or whatever path you decide to take. So I wish you the best of luck. Now some people do end up being just directors because they write a small film, they direct that film, and they never end up doing a different job in the industry. And that's also another way to go about it. They're all equally challenging. They're all equally fraught with obstacles, but they're all doable if you decide that you're going to do it.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't realize I wanted to do directing until I acted and I worked tech. So it was definitely one of those things where I watched something direct. And I was like, hey, that, I want to do that.
Right.
And learn from that. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I had that same thought probably around your age. At around 45, I got my shot. So, it takes a while, that's my point. But it was worth it, absolutely worth it. And when I had my shot, I had in my satchel all the knowledge I gleaned from the years of doing something else, of having one line, or being a PA, or visiting my friends on a set, whatever it is. I took all that with me to that time. And it helped me be prepared for the moment.
Awesome, thank you.
Best of luck to you. Hello?
Hi, I'm Ollie, and this question I asked Ruth earlier, and she told me to bring it to you. So if you could pick any plant to be, what plant would you be? And Ruth also wants to know what plant she would be.
Crabgrass, and she would be petunia. Rob?
I think it's just you.
That's my answer.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, because Ruth knows.
I love those questions.
You love those questions.
Yo.
Hey, so my name's Jules, and I know you act and direct. So what's it like going back and forth? I mean, have you ever been in a directing situation and like an actor's doing something and you're like, no, 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 no. Or you're in an acting situation and a director's doing something and you're like, no, no, no. Or yes, yes, yes. What's it like to switch between the two roles?
Well, I think you're going to have to do the job you're hired for. You know what I mean? So if I'm acting and a director is directing me and I don't necessarily think they're making the best choices, it's not really my thing to say, don't do it like that, dude. Also, you don't really know what the director's doing, to be honest. I mean, they have a grand plan of what a scene's going to be. So if I go over to Rob, you know, I've directed Rob, and I'm like, hey Rob, I need you to walk, you know, this whole path. I don't care what you do at the beginning, you can be going back and forth, but I need you to come up this way at the end. Remember that last shot where you come close to the camera? And Rob's like, you just gotta trust that I have a shot plan, because that's the rehearsal when there's no cameras. He's like, okay, Rich must have a reason why I'm gonna do this thing, whether he thought it was for his character, and then he saw what I was doing with the camera. He's like, oh, I get it. He's gonna really punctuate this moment with the camera. So you can't also, you know, one thing I have found in directing is you can't get in the head of the director. You know, the actor might go, well, how am I doing this? Like, there's gotta be a little bit of trust in that. If you feel like they have a solid plan, then let that plan play out before you start picking it apart. I certainly love it when I think somebody's doing a great job, which is usually the case. There's very few times where I think somebody's just totally doesn't care. I mean, that almost never happens. I might have thought a scene was going to be done a different way. I might have thought that I was going to play it a certain way and it was directed a different way. But that doesn't necessarily mean my first instincts were right either. It also could just be a different way of thinking about it that the director wants me to try. So I don't think, like, it's not hard to switch back and forth because one is not my assignment. You know, does that make any sense? Like, if I show up to a set, I wasn't there. If I show up to a set to do a scene as an actor, I wasn't there for the 9 days of prep that preceded my arrival here. So I don't know what they all talked about, what their plan was, why we're shooting it on this day, why we're shooting it in the morning and not the evening. All the things that go into those decisions that actors are not aware of, I'm not privy to, so I have to sort of let go and let them do their thing. And in terms of when I'm directing and an actor's making a different choice, that's actually kind of my job as a director, to sort of steer it in a way that I think it's more beneficial for the scene. I would say the majority of the time, I've been blessed to work on shows that were populated by really committed people, talented people who also put a lot of work into their role. So that when I show up and they do their thing, I've seen it in my head, and it just got cooler by watching their choices. Like, ooh, that's cool. And so their good choices pile on my prep, and my prep and their good choices improve where the scene's going to lay out and land anyway. So I bring my game plan to the table, they bring their game plan to the table, and typically I can maybe say, hold off on that beat, save it for here, come in later, blah, 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 detail stuff. You know, we're gonna make this play in this moment, we're gonna go quicker, tighten everything up. But I'm doing that based on the fact that they've done their homework and they're ready to play ball at a high level, and we can start really doing some finished carpentry because everybody's excited to be there and has done their homework to get there. So I find that even though that's part of that job is not a negative, it's a positive. It's not like I'm seeing actors make bad choices. I'm just steering their good instincts into the grander plan that I've put together. That make sense?
Yep. No, thank you. Good answer.
Thank you. Hello?
Hi, my name is Lily. My question for you two is, which three actors in the convention would you want to survive a zombie apocalypse with, and why?
Who do I want to spit? Oh, you're the apocalypse person.
Yes.
Who do I want to be in the apocalypse with, Robbie? Tomo Penniket, Mark Pellegrino, but these mofos will protect me, you know what I'm saying? And then, typically, at this point, if we're talking real apocalyptic, start over thing, I might bring a female along, but because no one wants to be canceled and be strapped at times, I'm not going to do that. So I will say, Rob, keep me entertained. So between Tomo, it's going to be Mark Pellegrino, for protection, those big fighters, and Rob Benedict. For the laughs.
It's the lady of the
For the laughs. For the laughs!
For the laughs, for the laughs. I guess I do, you gotta do, I do Misha. I feel like Misha would have a good brain for finding us a way out or a safe haven. He's very selfless.
Yeah, sure.
He'd be good to have on my team. Let's say I'm playing and I can't pick any of the people you picked. So then my second choice would be, second choice in there would be, I'd have to pick, it's, does Cliff count? Alright, Cliff. It'd be the same thing as earlier. It's like, worst case scenario, if we get hungry, we could cook Cliff. There'd be a lot of good meat for everybody.
Good burgers.
And Richard for entertainment. And for our podcast. Which is still gonna have to... All survivors!
You know, the only thing I'll say is funny about your choices, they're all great choices, but you're actually dating a cast member. I think like you can bring in a girl. I can't.
Shit. Yeah, I'm not gonna bring Rich, I'll bring Ruth.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Sorry.
Not that I'm not hilarious, but there's certain shit I just won't do.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, definitely bring in Ruth.
There you go.
I thought that was a given. I thought I'm answering for me and Ruth.
Yeah. Slash oops.
Thank you for getting me in trouble, but yeah.
Listen, I was trying to help you out, man. You don't want to be like a bunch of dudes in the apocalypse. Like, nobody wants that. Like, I have to, or I'll get canceled.
Yeah,
you have an opportunity.
I need to bring the love of my life. Of course, she'll be there with me.
Yeah, that's cover. Oh.
But then I'd have to make sure that Misha and Cliff are on their best behavior.
No, man, everybody's going to town. Nobody's going to be on game for it. That's the all bets are off.
I think, no, Misha will be a gentleman. I don't know about Cliff.
I don't think Cliff's the one you got to worry about. I'd be worried about Misha.
I'm more worried about Ruth and Misha. Ruth falling for Misha than I'm left out. Maybe Jensen is another...
You can only be 3.
Okay. And Jared. and then that's it. Just those 6.
That's it. That's your 3. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome to the King of Con Survivor cast.
My 3 people are...
Richard's been gone for 12 days now. Did you get a King of Con? It's just one king.
You.
Hi, so I was wondering if y'all listen to each other's solo albums, and Rob's solo album, the Dick Jr. and the Volunteers album. What's your favorite song from each other's album? And also, when can we expect a follow-up to those?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Rob's version, because it's really the original version, technically, of Cautionary Fairy Tale. Because Rob wrote that song and I recorded it, which is sort of my interpretation of Rob's song, but then Rob's, it's his song, and so then he did it the way he had heard it and said. And I also think Tyler James did a really good job producing your album. I think your album doesn't sound like anything you've done previously, so that's really, the whole sound of the album is cool. So Cautionary Fairy Tale for me.
Well, I was going to say that for me, I think that Richard's version of my song was that he did a killer job, and it was hard to record after the fact because I felt like that was the version to the OG version really was the way he did it. It just really worked with his voice. But besides that, I would say, he's got a lot of great songs. What's the name of the song that Nirvana did the cover of?
In the Pines.
In the Pines, so good. What's the something in the night, bringing on the night?
Oh, Living at Night. Which we've done at Saturday Special.
Living at Night's really terrific too. So if I had to pick one, and he already picked that song, I'd say Living at Night.
And what about the follow-up to your solo album? Is there going to be another Rob Benedict song?
There is. I'm writing music for what would be my follow-up solo album right now. So I'm excited about that. Whether or not it's an EP or a full record, but I am writing right now. And Richard is going into the studio this week to record new music.
Exactly. Starting the effort on new It was going to be Monday until the hurricane decided to come to town. But this week, we're going to start working on album number 2, Dick Jr. and the Volunteers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So who do you got to talk to take a listen to some of those demos?
Gee, it's a real tight list.
Okay.
Me.
Right.
So you just talk to me.
Okay.
You're in there.
So I noticed you guys have done a couple of cons over the past year or two.
Yeah. Just a couple.
So you've been to a lot of places. What is your favorite city outside of y'all's hometowns and where you live now to go and eat? And have you been to Charlotte and like to eat in any places this time?
Okay, so you're saying like, what's our favorite town where we're also doing a convention to eat? We'll say it together. 3, 2, 1.
Rome.
By far the best. And in Charlotte, I've actually been to Charlotte. I don't know if you've gone out in the town much here, Rob.
I can't remember. I don't know if I have.
I have visited Charlotte for not a convention, so it doesn't really count. But I used to, when I first started directing, the first professional directing jobs I got were directing Pepsi commercials. And we did a lot of race car tie-ins. So we shot here to get Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon and all those guys. And we went to Hendrix Motorsports and shot all over those places. And we ate at some good like Tex-Mex joints. And then we were sent to and I can't remember the name of the place, unfortunately, but it was we went there several times. We kept going to the same joint. Kind of had indoor, outdoor seating and good queso, which you can't get in Southern California. But there was also a sushi joint that had this lady who wore a cowboy hat and screamed at people. It was like this really, almost like a Tokyo Dells type place. You remember that in North Hollywood?
Yeah, they used to have those in Chicago too, where part of the thing is you're paying to get yelled at.
Yeah. So the owner of the joint kind of yells and screams, but it's a fun sort of environment. I remember loving that here as well. But
did we do a tour here?
We did do a tour. Yeah. Somebody reminded me that we did a tour here, and God knows I have no idea what we toured.
We went to the racetrack,
which was the thing. That was and the stadium.
And the old stadium, But new stadium, still there.
The racetrack was the coolest part of that.
Yeah, and we must have eaten lunch somewhere.
Probably did. Probably a barbecue joint, sticking to the theme. But.
Yeah, so I have eaten out here. I just can't remember now.
If you could tell us one place to go, where would you recommend?
Probably Chima's in Charlotte. It's a Brazilian food joint, and it's like $50 a plate, but it's all you can eat, and they just come by with this big thing of lamb legs.
Yeah,
you just tell them
off.
when to stop cutting, and it's.
And what's it? Spell the joint?
Chima.
Chima.
Okay, got it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No, we've been very fortunate. We've a lot of great places, but Rome, you really can't go wrong. You wander down the side alley, and you come in, you're like, I'll have a Danish and a coffee. It's the best Danish coffee you've ever had in your life.
Nobody does Italian food like the Italians.
No, man.
It's unbelievable. Yo.
Hey guys, my name is Layla, and I'm wondering, how would you describe yourselves as an ice cream flavor?
As an ice cream flavor?
Yes, and how would you describe Ruth as well? Because
yeah, you can do the Ruth bit. I'm a double fudge. Robbie? I have no idea.
I'm getting confused between my favorite kind of ice cream, which I have, and what kind I'd be. I'd probably be, that is to say, I would be Rocky Road.
Rocky Road, Robbie!
Yeah, a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of nut. Don't stop. And Ruth would be bubblegum flavor. You ever had that
that was my favorite.
Baskin Robbins?
Yeah. Pink bubblegum.
Yeah, pink bubblegum.
Yeah.
That's what she'd be.
Nice.
And that's what's
good question.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Natalie, and my question is, so when I say 20 years ago, do you think 1990s or 2003? And if so, what comes out of it?
What do you say 4 years ago?
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Oh. 20 years ago would be 2003.
I mean, I understand your point. You think 20 years ago must be in the 90s,
but it's actually 2003.
Yeah. So I gotta go with 2003 on that one. And that's just the math talking.
I'm gonna lean on the whole subtraction thing. And
you say 20 years, I say 2003.
Yeah.
What was part 2?
Part 2 is whatever you chose. What do you think of from that year?
2003.
Well, I'm just basking in the 2003ness of it, aren't I? This year I got married, so I think
well, there you go. That's a nice thing to remember.
Get married in 2003. I think of getting married.
I think, and I think about 2003. I think I went to Italy for the first time in 2003, and I traveled around Italy. And it was one of the best trips I ever took. This is before the conventions, before I really traveled a lot outside the United States, and that was a real fun trip. It was the year before I had my first kid.
Who were you traveling with?
My wife at the time.
Your wife at the time?
Yeah. It was her and I hit a lot of the spots around Italy.
Hit a lot of spots. What'd you hit?
Went to Florence. Firenze. And Roma. And Siena. And Lake Guarda. Lago Guarda. And then the Cinque Terre.
Did you go to all Cinque? The Cinque Terre?
Si. I took a train.
Now we're just talking about what did the fun?
Si. Yeah, it was a year before I had my first child, so that was kind of a fun hurrah.
Yeah, nice.
And there you go. There you have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
My question for y'all is, what was your very first concert you ever went to?
My first concert I went to that my parents took me to. So I'll give two answers because you don't mean like sing a bar in a band. A band in a bar. You mean like a proper concert.
Right.
First concert I went to, my parents took me when I was like 7 to see Donnie and Marie Osmond. Big fan of that TV show as a kid. But the first concert I ever went to where I was allowed to go and went with my buddies was U2 Joshua Tree.
I saw that tour. In St. Louis. My first concert that my parents took me to, same kind of thing. When I was about 7, same thing. It was at Summerfest in Milwaukee. And we saw Manhattan Transfer. You remember that? Talk about them in New York City. But the first show that I went to on my own, I was maybe 13, and I saw Rick Springfield. Yeah, and the motels opened up.
That's also cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember who opened up for you two. I've seen
that tour.
Because I saw I've seen bands open up for REM, and it was like the Bodines. I feel like the Bodines may have opened up for them. Is that possible?
Sure.
It's the right era.
When you two toured the Octum Baby tour, they I saw Public Enemy open up for them.
Wow,
that was awesome.
Yeah. Who opened up for him when you saw
Joshua Tree?
I don't remember. I feel like it was the Bodines.
That would make sense.
All right, we'll go with Bodines.
I'm sure we could look it up.
But it also, yeah, they could have opened up for REM. Bodines were good though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk about
what was your first concert?
Total Request Live, and it was Destiny's Child, Nelly,
Hell
Jessica
yeah.
Simpson was there. My husband wins though. He had Tom Petty and 9 Inch Nails.
Wow.
That's a good show. One of the cooler shows I ever saw was when I first moved to Los Angeles. And a couple of buddies of mine who had a car were like, we're going to go see live music. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know much about what we were going to go see. And it ended up being the Pixies, Primus, and Jane's Addiction. At the Palladium, one of those places. Yeah.
It's so funny you said that, because in my mind I was like, well, I want to tell this after he tells that. Is that one of the coolest concerts I ever saw was Jane's Addiction, when they did sort of a practice show before they're going to go on tour, and so it was at the Roxy.
Oh man!
And we won tickets to see it, and Flea played bass.
Oh, and so it was Dave Navarro on guitar at that point?
Oh yeah.
So it was Dave Navarro. It was after. No, sorry.
Dave Navarro never left.
Right. Flea took over. Navarro joined the Chili.
Yes, I think it was maybe after that, but yeah, it was the old OG lineup.
But Eric wasn't on bass.
Correct. It was Flea on bass. It was awesome.
Let's take one more question.
One more question.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. My question is, if you were to introduce yourself with a song, what will it be?
Dirty White Boy by Foreigner. Robert?
He just has these. It's no fair because he already has the answer. He's like a computer.
Well, we've been asked that before, so.
I know, and I can't remember what I said.
I think yours was Baby Shark.
No, we've never Baby Shark. I would say Alive by Pearl Jam.
Thank to you.
Baby Shark is not a bad song. Okay, never mind. This is Rob Bennett right there.
That's Richard Sat Jr.
Oh, you're just gonna start playing something? Play it, we'll figure it out.